Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do an update to a very popular video that I did just 2 days ago, which was titled, Man Walks Out on Rude Date and She's Furious After He Leaves Her Part of the Bill. And guys, a quick recap, I know it was only a couple days ago, but I'm going to quick recap anyway. That was about the guy who went out on a date, first date with this woman he met at a restaurant. He liked to go there, she was a waitress, and she was very pretty, good body, all that, his type. And he actually thought she was out of his league. Goes out on the date with her, and from the second they got together at the restaurant, it was just one bad thing after another. She was hell on wheels. It was a train wreck. And finally got so bad, they eventually walked away from the table, told the bartender to split the bill, gave her part of the bill, and walked out. And of course, she was shocked and threw a fit and everything. Oh, and by the way, she was a big, giant nut job effinist. And then he ran to her later on, and obviously she was blowing up his phone and insulting him and all that. This picks up afterwards, guys, because the story isn't over. This goes on to how he runs into her later on down the road, where you're going to see eventually he finds out she's dating one of his friends, right? Crazy. And unfortunately, his friend isn't like this guy. His friend is your typical nice guy that gets walked all over by her. However, you're going to see, guys, it's only going to prove why types like this just thrive on weakness, on weak guys. But ultimately, you're going to see she engaged in some illegal activities, and in the end, well, let's just say it's a very funny ending what happens to her, someone like that, which I think all you guys are going to enjoy, because for those of you who watched their first video, you know she was a complete and total bitch. So it picks up. He says, hello SSM. I want to thank you for sharing my story on your channel. I loved your video and I really appreciate all the work you're doing for guys around the globe. I thank everybody for the comments and support, and I thank everybody for the comments and support and for allowing me to share my story. But there was a couple things that I left out. This was just the first interaction between myself and this crazy effing harpy for those that were interested. The second interaction occurred over a series of months that led to some pretty spicy revenge. Revenge that included her getting fired and arrested. Get your popcorn, guys, because you will enjoy this. He says, I mentioned in the first part how I returned to the restaurant where she worked about a week after our disaster of a date. When I sat down, she gave me dirty looks, and when she brought up my food, she spilled an entire serving pitcher of water all over my table and me. It ruined my food completely. If you're wondering, I did report her to the management. Strike one for this crazy effinist. I didn't think I would ever see her again. I blocked her on every social media I had and almost completely forgot about her. Yeah, well, if this is a small town community, you're going to bound to run into her sooner or later. And, you know, I think it's funny you went back to the places she worked, because you mentioned in the previous story that, it's a place you really like to go. And here's a lesson, guys. If you meet a gal that you're attracted to and she works at a place you like to go, restaurant or coffee house or bar, remember that if it doesn't go well, that could make you going that your experience there not exactly very pleasant. So keep that in mind before going asking out some chick that works at a place you like to go. And also, I mentioned, for me personally, I never trust the sincerity of anyone that makes their living off my tips. Okay, so keep that in mind for you guys that are like, ooh, that bartender likes me, or ooh, that waitress likes me. Sure, of course. So in some cases they might, but just remember, they make their living off you. And obviously they're going to increase the flirtation and the smiles and all that, because that's going to impact their tip. Anyway, he says, this was about 1 month later. The universe seems to love to prove me wrong on certain things. To help you understand the story, I want to give you a little bit of background about the town that I live in. Our town is a pretty popular tourist destination because of the lake and the famous area that we live. There's a local college that I attended, and everyone generally knows everybody. It's the kind of place where no matter how long you were gone, you were going to see people you know when you get back. That sounds like the small town I grew up in Pennsylvania, which unfortunately I got to go to next week for a long weekend, and I hate going there, and guaranteed I'm going to run into some fucking people that I grew up with in high school and all that. There's a reason I left and never go there. But I love my mom, so I'm going to go see her and all that'll be good to see her. But, God. I don't envy the life in that type of place. Anyway, it says here, I need to introduce someone else into the story. For the purpose of this, we will call him Tom. It's not his real name, by the way. Tom is a very smart young man, but unlike me, he's not very opinionated or confrontational. He's your typical nice guy, and I would describe him as very blue-pilled. I won't clown on him too much, but his parents definitely sheltered him from some harsh realities of life. I met him at the local college while I was getting my degree when I got out of the military. Upon scrolling my phone one day, I logged into Facebook and I saw Tom had changed his relationship status. I'm sure you all can see where this is going. He posted a picture of himself and his new girlfriend, and to my amazement, it was the same psycho effiness that I took on the date. When you're in a small town, people are going to get together. That's how it works. Looks like we both have the habit of asking out waitresses at restaurants that we like to go to. It's stupid, I know. I'm a total dumbass sometimes. I called Tom up on the phone and told him about the situation between me and Mary. He blew me off and told me I was jealous. Trust me, jealousy was the last thing on my mind. Of course he's going to say. He's a blue pill nice guy. So of course by this guy telling him about his experience with her and how she was a total wacko, which you all remember from that story. Of course a nice guy's not going to want to hear it because he's like, hey, I got this hot chick who likes me. Of course there's nothing wrong with her. Of course there's nothing wrong with my judgment here. Or the classic nice guy mindset. I'm different. Oh yeah? Watch this. I tried to explain to Tom that she was trouble and that I really advise him against this. Some guys just don't listen. They listen to their head in their pants instead of the one on their shoulders. Well, if she is good looking as you said she was, then no surprise there. A month later, Tom sent me a text and told me that he and Mary were moving in together. Smack to your friend Tom. Stupid nice guy. I just about lost my shit. I told him he was out of his ever-loving mind. To say the least, some bad words were exchanged between myself and Tom. It almost came to blows, but I was able to contain my anger. I've never been the biggest guy in the world, but I have a temper twice my size. I'm not afraid to get down and dirty and have a fight. I learned a long time ago to stand up for myself. Fighting your friend over this girl is completely ridiculous. Okay, calm down. This is just a good guy. He's just, how can I say this? Just completely brainwashed by the narrative and all that, and probably pissed up. He's probably happy that finally, being a typical nice guy, now the good-looking girls are interested in him, and he's finally cherishing the moment. And you telling him these things about her is only making him just go on the defense. Tom and I didn't speak much after that. I texted him and told him, when shit hits the fan between him and Mary, don't come crying to me. There you go. You warned him. I won't get too much into the situation, but it was bad. She locked him out of his place and started fights. Imagine that. It even turned physical a couple times. Tom is not very strong and definitely not against someone who is military trained. Like Mary, I know the police were involved at least once, yet he still refused to leave her. Smack to your friend Tom, or your temporary ex-friend Tom. See, guys? He didn't listen, so in my opinion, this nice guy Tom got everything he deserved. He told him flat out how much of a wacko she is, a train wreck, and no surprise there, she's starting fights and drama. And in the last story, I pointed out some areas where I definitely think that those were shit tests, some of the things she was doing, as a lot of beautiful women do. But still, regardless, she's a nut. But nice guys have to learn the hard way. A lot of people ask me, like SSM, they'll email me or message me and say, I got this friend who's totally blue pill, total nice guy, and he gets walked over by women, but he doesn't want to hear what I have to say. Well, then there's nothing you can do. Pretty much you got to wait for him to crash and burn and be so hurt and harmed by these gals that take advantage of guys like that, and only then are they going to be willing to change. But a lot of people have to go through a lot of shit and pain and hurting and heartache to finally wake up to reality. He says, I have a bad habit sometimes of drowning my problems in alcohol. One night Tom called me when I was on a bender and broke down over the phone. He came over to my place, and for the first time in months, we really spoke to each other. He cried, and it broke my heart. I've seen men die when I was overseas. I've seen a lot of horrible shit, but nothing broke my heart more than this. To see my best friend, who I really cared for, broken down and crying. It broke something inside me as well. Rage washed over me, and I swore this bee is going to pay. She just started a war, and I don't take prisoners when it comes to war. I may not start it, but I will sure as hell finish it. I told Tom that he could stay over at my place and we would come up with a solution in the morning. I kind of wish I had not let him sleep over near my effing bedroom because I could hear him snoring the whole night. Industrial earmuffs do nothing when it comes to this man. So he sleeps like a bear, or his snoring sounds like a chainsaw. He sounds like an effing locomotive, but I'm getting off topic here. The next morning we came up with a plan. I knew violence would not solve it. I'm not afraid to hurt people or take life if I have to, but it's not going to solve this kind of problem. We're not in a taking life kind of situation, bro, okay? You're not at war, okay? She's a piece of garbage, and obviously justice can be served, but let's not get ridiculous here. Problem plus, I'm not going to go to jail or face repercussions because of a bad decision like that. B, she ain't worth it. Duh, of course. We went over to his place and we spoke with the landlord. He let us change the locks. There's a storage locker about 4 miles from where I work. We rented a small unit and put all her stuff inside of it. I wanted to be around when she came home, but Tom told me he didn't want me there. He told me to go home and he would take care of it. I was actually surprised that he was growing some balls. Well, good for your friend Tom for finally growing a pair. See, he had to go through all that crap to finally see her true colors. What did I just say a few minutes ago about guys having to go through so much shit and heartache until they finally wake up? Now he's starting to see that you were right in reality here. Before I left, he asked me if I knew anything about Facebook. Tom has never had a lot of social media and knows very little about it. He showed me his computer, which had her Facebook profile logged in. I could see her messenger and her profile on social media. Tom had taken various screenshots from conversations she had with her friends. It looks like she had been chatting at least one guy, at least for a month. Of course she has been. That's how these types operate. Not to mention, huge portions of the conversation had been deleted. It was obvious she was up to something. I decided I would scroll her account and take a look. She had her Twitter and Instagram linked, and her Facebook, her Twitter was gold. Mine, strike 2 for this crazy B. She was actually bragging about stealing from her workplace and other illegal things on Twitter. Aha! Now you got her. You got evidence that she was committing crimes. This jogged my memory. The last 3 months, her restaurant had been hit with a series of thefts. One cash deposit had been stolen, and the till had always come up short. I know the manager very well. He's a fellow veteran and friend of mine. He told me about it one night while drinking at the local bar. It suddenly clicked for me. How the hell could this girl afford designer shoes and bags that cost more than my damn Rolex? Working as a waitress in a small town upstate New York. Shit just wasn't right and didn't smell right. So Tom and I came up with a plan. We contacted the manager and showed him all the screenshots of her on social media. He didn't believe us at first. He decided to launch his own investigation, and we soon found out the results. I wasn't present when Tom confronted Mary, but there certainly must have been fireworks going on that night. Tom didn't tell me much, but she left very angry. Good for Tom, and I think Tom owes you the whole story and all the details. After all you warned him early on, he acted all dramatic and wanted to start fights and all that stuff like that. I think as a apology to you, to tell you all the details. And notice how he said the manager didn't quite believe him at first. Did she have him fooled too? Probably. About a week later, we found out what happened. The manager had conducted his own investigation and discovered she was responsible for the thefts. Imagine that. They pressed charges against her, and she was arrested and fired from her job. When I sat watching her get sentenced at the Ontario courthouse, the biggest smile came over my face. I had not felt that happy since I got my DD-214. That's discharge papers for anyone who's not served in the military. She was sentenced to 6 months in prison and 3 years of probation. She was hit with fines and now had to register as a felon. Bro, that is hilarious. It's always nice to see a-holes get what they deserve in life. Really. I may sound like a cold-hearted, vindictive a-hole, but I protect my friends. I never had the strongest family growing up. My friends are my family. Even my not fiance, who is from the Philippines, accepts me for who I am. I don't take garbage from people, and when you start a war with me, I'm gonna finish it. If anyone doubts the story, it's true, and I swear by it. I hope you guys find it entertaining, and I really hope it shows a lot of young men just how crazy women can be. Yes, and some take it to a whole new level, like this one. And so I think it's pretty funny, given, again, the story I did just the other day, which, by the way, it hasn't even been 48 hours, and that video had 52,000 views. So it's done quite well. But anyhow, given her actions in this story, You know, it doesn't surprise me that she would do this. And by the way, I want to mention something here. She's also, if I recall, this dude who wrote this story, it sounds like, I believe he said he was 26. So I'm going to guess they're all within the mid-20s. So notice the pretty girl goes for his friend Tom, the nice guy. What I tell you guys so many times in stories, how when you're younger, typical guy, typical nice guy, the gals don't pay attention to him. They're all after the bad boys or the older guys or the guys on the sports teams and all that. They're not giving you the time of day. And then the nice guy, he grows up a bit, matures a little bit, maybe gets a little confidence, gets a job, starts making some money, and all of a sudden, those same girls that wouldn't give him the time of day are all of a sudden interested. And he's thinking, yeah, I finally get my shot. The movies were right. Well, bullshit. They're only going after you because they're done riding the carousel with Chad and Tyrone temporarily because they want to get a ring on their finger, because 30's approaching, they see all their friends get married, they want to have their magical day, all that, and these nice guys fall for it. And it sounds to me like his bro Tom probably was in that same mindset and didn't want to hear that this woman was trouble and all these other things. So therefore, that was why these two were fighting. That's what that's what I figure in this situation. I don't know, I could be totally off here, but given all these stories I do from dudes all around the world, you start to know some patterns here. So again, for you guys that are starting to come to your place in this world and coming into your own, watch out for those gals that suddenly are interested in you when they wouldn't give you the time of day before. Just have an extra long screening process. Take a lot longer of a time to really, before you make any kind of commitments or whatever. Like, you know my opinion on those things. Take a long time to get to know her and be wary. Because, I know you don't want to think that, but you got to be careful. Because believe me, the guys they settle for, they don't treat them the same as the bad boys. They don't love them the same, and they sure as hell don't F them the same. So just be aware of that. And like I said in the other story, when it comes to the first dates, one drink only. All the crap that guy dealt with, taking her to his favorite place, sitting down with her to get a steak or whatever the hell they ate, all that. So anyhow, good story here. It's always good to have justice served on these a-holes. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And also, guys, if you got a great story like to share, something really entertaining about your life, that obviously is good for this channel, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Just be sure to make sure it's easy for me to read. It's very important. Here come the sirens. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.